Remember years ago when it was a custom to bring the deceased one into the home for a couple of days before the burial? Remember this? And all the friends and neighbors and all the kin people, they would come over there. They'd bring food with them. Damn. When I was growing up, me and my little brother used to hope somebody would die so we could eat. Like, I smell chicken. Somebody must be dead. And you remember this? We always put the casket by the living room window. It had to be by the window. Just like this guy was a friggin' Christmas tree. They'll move that couch, roll rubber right over there, you know. And I remember this like it was yesterday. Everybody that come in would spend 1 minute at the casket and 3 days in the kitchen. And they would talk about the food and who brought what. And it would go just like this. Somebody would go, well, I see Elizabeth brought that damn macaroni salad. I knew she'd do this. If it had been somebody on her side of the family, she'd have brought some kind of meat. Well, let me tell you one number. Listen to this. A year ago, when her sister's husband died, hell, she baked a ham. Well, she says she baked it, but it had those pineapple rings and those cherries stuck on it with a toothpick. I said, that looks like a damn Kroger ham to me. But I didn't want to start nothing. And then, listen, and just a few months later, her 19-year-old nephew died. Nobody knows why. He just died. I think it was the stab wounds. Well, when he died, she shows up with 9 pounds of that boar's head roast beef. And that's cheap. I think it. This right here, folks, is the day that I learned the reality of how dangerous a plane can be. I learned this in the Bahamas. They have the planes that just go island to island, very short trip, like a 20-minute trip. And they actually look like crop dusters more than anything. They got one propeller. They only seat about 8 people, 10 at the most. And they have to know the weight of everything that goes on board the aircraft before the plane can take off. And I had never been through that before. And a guy comes to me with a clipboard in his hand. He says, "Sir, how much do you weigh?" I said, "Why do you need to know?" He said, "So we'll know how much fuel to put in." I said, "Fill it up." I'll buy, fill it up. I weigh 600 damn pounds. Fill it up. Well, you had to die in a plane crash because some fat woman lied about her weight. And hell, they'll do it too. Like, well, I'd just soon be dead. Just tell him how much I weigh. You know? Let me give you a little tip, too. You remember a few years ago when the tornado went downtown Nashville, Tennessee? It went right downtown. Tornadoes just don't go downtown. And to make sure that never happens where you live, here's what you need to do. On the outskirts of your city, put up a decoy trailer park. That'll be like cheese in a trough. And hell, they just wait on it. But I tell you what, folks, at least in this part of the country, the Midwest, the Southeast, see, we have to deal with the very worst Mother Nature can throw at the human race. See, on the West Coast, California, they don't have tornadoes, and they don't have hurricanes. That's just on this coast. Tornadoes occur in the Midwest, the Southeast. New England, like Vermont, Rhode Island, they don't have tornadoes. You've heard the expression, it's biblical, and your mother has said it. You've heard it. God never gives us more puts more on us than we can handle. That's why come he sends that stuff to us. He would never send a tornado to damn California. Hell, they just couldn't deal with it. That's why all they get, that's what I call silly weather, limp-wristed weather. Like mud's like mud, it's damn mud. Where else in America would mud be a natural disaster? Down here, we put big wheels on something to get out and play. I thought they'd run from it like, here come the mud. You know? You know how somber and sad the atmosphere can be when someone's passed away. Everybody kind of talks in whisper tones. And old people with a hearing aid, they talk too damn loud. And there's Grandpa, bless his heart, back there at the table trying to fix a sandwich. And next thing you hear is somebody going, who's the mustard? It was embarrassing. Oh, by the way, y'all, a while ago when I said we didn't have any Jews in our family, we wouldn't mind having some. It just ain't worked out. Matter of fact, we'd like to have some because they've got trust funds. I'll tell you something a little strange about the Jewish people, and I hope this don't sound anti-Semitic, but generally speaking, Jewish people keep all their appliances inside the house. Ain't that odd? When I hit that stage, I never mentioned anything related to current events. I don't mention COVID-19. I don't mention anything about it at all. You know, because my idea is, and my opinion is, the people are willing to show up, to see a show, to enjoy themselves. So they hear the news 24 hours a day. So when they get to that auditorium or that civic center or that theater, I don't think they want to hear more information about what was on the news. I think they want to get away from the news for a while. So I just don't mention those subjects on stage.
You know, I have to say, I agree with you. I didn't think I would get there because I do think that the future of our country is extremely important. And I do think that when a virus is out of control and destroying the economy, people's way to make a living, and ultimately people's lives, even if they survive it, how sick that a lot of people are getting, I know those things are important. But I have to say, James, to your greater point, I have gotten to the point where I don't sit down and say, I got to be updated, I got to consume more of it. I really need less of it.
That's the way I feel. That's exactly the way I feel. You know, when I get up in the morning, I check the news for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then late at night, I check the news for another 10 to 15 minutes. But during the day, I've got other things I could be doing. I'm not consumed to cable news, all the news, because they just repeat the same thing 24 hours a day.
Yeah, we could use an update on some of these stories. I mean,
that used to be what we went to our sports for, to get away from things, and now it's become political too. So it's James, I agree. Right. We just need a break, and and you've got so many good stories that are proven over the years. What a pleasure it must be to get out and just have a good laugh with you.
And you all know now this is true. Look, we respond to every tragedy in life with food. A covered dish. We'll knock on somebody's front door and go, sorry to hear about your son-in-law. Here's some baked beans. And by the way, and speaking of the covered dish, you ever notice how people will spend more time talking about the food and who brought which dish than they do the poor fellow who died? Here's this guy, he hasn't even been buried yet. But all the conversation is going like this. Well, I see Elizabeth brought that macaroni salad. I knew she'd do this. I guarantee you one thing, if it had been somebody on her side of the family, she'd have brought some kind of meat. When my cousin died, now we're talking about my side of the family, he's the one who drilled himself to death. Hey, lady, this ain't funny. What happened was he had this high-powered Black & Decker drill, and he was going to put the screw back in his cowboy belt buckle. I told him, I said, I think I'll take that belt off first. He said, don't tell me how to use my drill. I said, okie dokie. He gets about halfway through and sneezes. Anyway, when he died, that being my side of the family, guess what she showed up with? 11 deviled eggs. Now, who in the world makes an odd number of deviled eggs? We think she ate one on the way over here. But here's the way the Baptists do it. The moment we hear someone has been admitted into the hospital, we go grocery shopping. When we hear they have been moved into intensive care, we start cooking. And if they should get better, we'll just freeze it. And this right here sounds like a joke, but it's not a joke. It really happened. This past summer was a year ago. There were four incidents of where a plane would be on the runway. And for no obvious reason, the engine would just fall off and hit the pavement. Do you hear me? The damn motor fell off. Y'all sitting there like you see that every day. Yeah, I just saw that yesterday. You know what? Now look, this is true. The FAA said that was caused by a malfunction in the airplane toilet. In the toilet. Do you see what they're telling us? Somebody flushed a commode and the damn motor fell off. So you listen to me. The next time you're up there about 30,000 feet, and you're sitting there going, I don't think I can hold this any longer. Think again. I don't care if you pee in your briefcase. And let's not forget about Aloha Airlines. They're the ones that had that airplane that took off as a hard top, come back as a convertible. The top blew off. And the dumb things the people would say once they got off the plane. These are people who flew in and landed in an airplane that didn't have a top. It didn't have a damn top. And one lady actually said this. She said, at first, I didn't even notice it. I just reached out to push the stewardess button and the sun was in my eye. All right, one more quick one here. This is about 3 years ago, upstate New York. There's a small airplane in a holding pattern, waiting for clearance to land. When suddenly, without warning, the plane just dropped out of the sky, hit the ground. It killed some people, but nobody we know. Well, do you remember why that plane fell so abruptly? It ran out of gas. Do you hear me? I'm thinking, don't they have a gauge or something? If I was the pilot up there at 35,000 feet and the gas hand was on E, I'd land on the freeway at Texaco. They may not have any jet fuel, but hell, it's worth a shot. At least you could grab a Coke and a pack of crackers. Go pee. Now, you just have to trust me on this. All this happened beginning in 1983, and let me explain that to you. And you go to the library in the archives and look this up. In the summer of 1983, USA Today did a 2-part cover story on the shortage of fiber in the American diet. This is a true thing. And they concluded that if you and I didn't start eating fiber morning, noon, and night, we was all going to get colon cancer and be dead by next Thursday. And like the blind sheep we have become, we just followed that hook, line, and sinker. And we all got scared to death to eat normal anymore. We had to have that fiber. Everything had to be all natural. Fiber, fiber, fiber. Had to have it. That's why we can't get them done in this country no more. We're all day. While we're on the crapper, the Japanese are building cars. In Japan, they just shit once a week. That's where they got that word bonsai. And we got scared of the food. Here's how scared we got. Started that whining about the law. Whine about the law. Whine. They ought to have a law. We need a labeling law. A labeling law. So that when I buy a can of goods at the store, on the label, there'll be listed everything that's in the can. I need to know before I buy it what's in the can. I need to know. That's why it takes the American people 5 hours to buy groceries now. It ain't the traffic, it ain't the checkout line, it's because you're reading that stuff. When you go to the grocery store next time, watch them. They'll just park the buggy. They'll park the buggy. They'll just park the damn buggy. Speaking of fiber. But hell, it's what you're used to. They'll park the buggy, they'll start to read it. Just read it before they put it in the buggy. Just read it. Just read it. I'm not a brilliant person, but trust me on this. If it says beans, damn it, it's beans.
Your humor plays right into that, talking about one of the great American pastimes, and that is family and friends just hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
And
we don't have enough of that anymore, I don't think.
Socialize.
You know? Yeah.
Fellowship.
Yeah.
Eating.
I mean, you don't have to be real old. You can be in your 20s or early 30s, and you're still old enough to remember when people could actually sit around and talk without a cell phone glued to the ear.
And it's very hard
cell
to
phones
tell.
are kind of new in society, basically about a decade, really.
Yeah.
This,
well, it dawned on me. I was talking with a friend of mine this past weekend, and we were headed outdoors to go hang out, and he was talking about something happened sometime, and he was just in college, and he's in his early 40s. Right. And he said, and they had to try to find me. They just called the phone of a friend's where I was over at his house because we didn't have cell phones. And I thought, wow.
Yeah,
that's
odd. They're new, So so I don't tolerate that much. In other words, like you see them in restaurants. Mm-hmm. People go out as a family to eat. There's 5 members of a family sitting there, 4 of them on the cell phone talking during dinner. You see people eating with one hand, talking with the other, and I'm thinking, what phone call could be that important? What's really that important?
Right. Yeah. And that mamas had changed because my mama wouldn't tolerate a hat.
A hat. Not us either.
Singing. I don't know where that one came from. I said, now who declared we can't sing? In some reason, there was some rule. Did you have that in your family?
Oh, yeah. You don't sing at the table.
You go to the table to eat and you talk.
Because you have to open your mouth.
I can remember being at the supper table and the phone ringing. Of course, you don't have to get up to answer it. My dad wouldn't let us.
Yeah, we do that now.
Yeah.
What do you do? What would he do?
Just give us that look. Remember, there's no voicemail then, no answer machines. Yeah.
No caller ID.
Yeah, hell, they'll call back. And now you see people where but really, that's what
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? But you know what?
That's the way I still am, Like, my cell phone's in the car. I never take my cell phone. I don't take my cell phone in buildings.
I text one time in front of James.
I would never take my
bad.
Yeah.
Texting, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, he threw it right in the potatoes.
I have a very cool, hard stance on texting.
Right.
Every time I read in the paper, hear on the news where these single car accidents, where they were
texting,
ran off the road, hit a tree, and died. I'm so glad they're dead.
James!
I am.
James Gregory. Can I say we're off to a blistering pace today?
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
You're saying only single car accidents.
Because sometimes, you cross the median to hit an innocent person.
Yeah, and you're not for that.
No, but see, I tell you why I'm glad they're gone. They're out of my way, for one thing. Number 2 is, if these idiots who text and drive,
I don't know why we do that.
If they do that on a regular basis, tomorrow they could cross the line and hit my sister.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they could cross the line and hit my nephew and niece or the people I love.
I agree.
So if they go ahead and die today, I'm okay with that.
But that's the reason why I've never understood why we're having to have a law about people texting and driving. How can there be people that think they should text and drive?
Well, they're just idiots. See, that's one thing you can't legislate.
now. They just wait on it.
Has anybody fed you food when you were in the studio better than
No,
us?
I tell everybody that. And that's true. Dan McGinney, my other comedians, they'll tell you, I've told other studios this. I've told them, Rick and Bubba's got food.
Oh, food.
I remember that. I think how much I remember that food. This was several years ago. Maybe you have an audience there most of the time.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And somebody brought, it was homemade sweet potato casserole.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
Yes.
how can I forget it, James?
Not like a casserole, like a cobbler.
Oh yeah.
We all had peach cobbler and apple cobbler.
Oh, yeah.
This was sweet potato cobbler.
Oh yes.
When I left there, I was sick. Not because it was bad, it was because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I ate everything there.
Yeah.
I was just stuffed. And I think the next time I saw you guys, I said, "Where's that lady that had the sweet potato cobbler?"
I know.
But you guys had so much food every time, different food, that I would just leave there stuffed.
Do you
But it's
remember?
wonderful.
Yeah. Do you remember? And I will be very careful with this, but and I've had people say this about the Rick and Bubba show, and you're an example of this because we saw it happen. You get in here and we have such a good time, and the food adds to that. You do realize that most engineers will not let people eat in the studio, but we've never lived by that. And Bubba's even an engineer by trade, but we like food more than we like following those rules, and we don't even care if we damage equipment.
That's why it was so wonderful.
One year we were eating a fried turkey. Okay, and we had a fried turkey in here, and we were. I'm not going to get into the details of what happened. You forget you're doing a show because it really is like fellowshipping with your family, hanging out with your cousins, and all that. And so we're all eating, which adds to that. And at one point, I don't even think we're all getting up into the mic. We're just eating with the mic somewhere near us.
There's been a couple of times over the years where I made a mistake. I said something I should not have said.
Correct.
The guy was on the air.
Right.
We just lose sight of the fact that we're not.
No, exactly.
It's like we're out on the deck.
As a matter of fact, we have a state-of-the-art digital delay that we use in the studio, and it was all because of James Gregory.
This delay that we use, we named it James Gregory. And I remember looking at you, James. I'll never forget it. I said, "Hey, James, we're on the air," and you looked at me and you said, "Well, we better not be."
We have so many laws in our country now that are what we call feel-good legislation.
Oh, boy.
Like the law that just passed in New York State. I think it takes effect in January, where by law now, McDonald's is required by law to put a piece of fruit or vegetable in the Happy Meal. That's the law. Well, we're talking about that nationwide.
Here we go.
But really, it's by law. That's because you have we have a generation of people now that don't know really how to be parents.
Right.
Like if they want some people want the McDonald's to quit advertising the Happy Meal so much. And here's what I've said: when I have the privilege,
Secretariat is off and running.
well, no, I'm just saying when I have the privilege,
Right.
to speak to or entertain any of these brain dead soccer moms.
Right.
Here's what I'll tell them. The fast food industry didn't start yesterday.
Right.
It was started in the 1930s by the White Castle and the Crystal Corporation, and then followed a few years later in the early 50s with McDonald's and so on. So fast food's always been around. When we were growing up, and most people who listen to us now, when we were growing up, me and my little brother, we saw a zillion things advertised on television we wanted. Now listen up, soccer moms.
Oh boy,
Here's what my mama said to us. No.
Right.
Sometimes she would spell it out. I said no, N-O. Could you see your mama or your daddy saying, every time my little boy sees that commercial, he wants one of them, I'm going to write my congressman.
And I know, being average Americans, every day of your life, this thought goes through your mind at least once. Some mornings when you wake up, it's the first thought on your mind. And that is, wonder why anybody wants to be on Family Feud. Well, here's what I think. I keep visualizing some family out around Nebraska or Iowa, sitting around the dinner table one evening. The husband says, honey, you know what? They ought to be a way that we can let this whole country know our family's illiterate. Now, wait a minute. I know everybody here in Des Moines knows it already. I mean, coast to coast, just let them know we don't have a lick of sense. You know? So you end up watching them on the show. The lady introduces everybody. Now, Richard, I'd like you to meet our handsome son, Eric. And that makes you sit up straight because you can see Eric's ugly. Eric's a senior at UCLA. He'll be graduating this year. And you're thinking Eric's going to do all right on this show. He's going to college. Now, later on in the program, it's Eric's turn to answer. And we all know what tough questions they have on Family Feud. Now, see, once again, in Mississippi, that line won't work. Down there, when I say, you know what tough questions they have on Family Feud, the whole audience is going, oh, yeah, boy. Anyway, the question for Eric is, name one of the states that begins with the letter K. And of course, Eric is stumped on this. But just before the buzzer sounds, he says Connecticut. Am I upset with Eric? No. It's that family of his. Good answer. Good answer. And you know what? It's probably one of those 400-pound women in those tight polyester pants. Why do they wear that shit? Don't they know how that looked? Is it believable? Is it even conceivable that a woman over 400 pounds can put on a pair of tight polyester pants, then stand in front of a mirror and go, all right? This is the only time in our lives when it's okay to be impolite. If you're at the mall and there's a woman over 400 pounds, it's okay to go up and tap her on the shoulder. When she turns around, you can say, go home, lady. I'm going to puke. Get the hell out of here. You know. It probably... Well, you know... Yeah. It's always, see, the fat people are the ones that's always on a diet. I got an aunt been on a diet for 35 years. I ain't lost a damn pound. You know. Yeah, they try all the fad diets. No, Dr. Stillman, the water diet. You had to drink 14 glasses of water every 24 hours. She lost 2 pounds the first day. Her bladder fell out. So, anyway. But I invented this diet. You write this down. I don't mind. What'd you do before every meal? You drank a half a pint of Seagram 7. You're still hungry, but you can't find your mouth. Anyway. But anyway, back to the fat lady. I'm going to tell you a true story related to that subject. When children are 3 or 4 years old, they can be brutally honest. Because they are old enough to talk, that don't mean they're old enough to know about good manners yet. When my nephew was 4 years old, he and I had an A&P on a Sunday afternoon. And in the store that day was the biggest woman I'd ever seen in my life. Ah, damn. It might have been 500 or 600 pounds. Hell, I don't know. I do know that it looked like a crowd. And she had on these tight polyester pants. You know, little irrigation ditches and all. Wearing a real tight sweater, just rolls of fat. Hell, might have been food in there. I don't know. And she was wearing a beeper. The minute my nephew saw her, he said, "Look at that fat woman." I said, "Shut up." He said, "Boy, she's..." I said, "God damn it." Thank goodness the lady disappeared up the next aisle. But a few moments later, he and I started up that aisle. And at that split second, her beeper went off. And my nephew said, "Look out, Uncle James, she's backing up." Thank you very much. Everybody's got one person in their family or one close relative that is so stupid. It's the one you can't argue with. I tell you what, it's the same relative that keeps missing the 6 o'clock news because he don't know what time it comes on. I got an uncle that way. They give up my uncle. The bank called him up, told him that his account was overdrawn, so he mailed him a check. His dream in life is to own a 2-story mobile home. I told him, I said, "Uncle Robert, there's no such thing." He says, "Well, they ought to be for people that's got money." Anyway, we was over at his house one night watching television. The Muppets had this TV special on. Miss Piggy come on the TV screen, and my uncle said, "I bet you that's not a real pig. I just bet it ain't." I mean, I don't care how many degrees you got hanging on the wall. You can't argue with that idiot. Well, Uncle Robert, I believe you're right about that. Well, heck yeah, I'm right. Let me tell you something. I've been around pigs all my life. I will say this. From the neck up, the whole head. That looks authentic. But a real pig wouldn't wear a dress like that. He's the kind of guy that brags on his dog all the time. You ever heard somebody say this when they're bragging on their dog? They'll say, "He don't know he's a dog." He don't. He thinks he's one of us. I tell him, I say, "You paid $100 for that puppy. Get your money back." He's got brain damage. If he don't know he's a dog, he's going to spend his whole life running around wondering to himself, "Why am I barking?" And you all know now, this is true. Look, we respond to every tragedy in life with food. A covered dish. We'll knock on somebody's front door and go, "Sorry to hear about your son-in-law. Here's some baked beans." And by the way, and speaking of a covered dish, you ever notice how people will spend more time talking about the food and who brought which dish than they do the poor fellow who died? Here's this guy, he hasn't even been buried yet. But all the conversation is going like this. "Well, I see Elizabeth brought that macaroni salad. I knew she'd do this. I guarantee you one thing, if it had been somebody on her side of the family, she'd have brought some kind of meat. When my cousin died, never talk about my side of the family, he's the one who drilled himself to death." Hey, lady, this ain't funny. What happened was he had this high-powered Black & Decker drill, and he was going to put the screw back in his cowboy belt buckle. I told him, I said, I think I'll take that belt off first. He said, don't tell me how to use my drill. I said, okie dokie. He gets about halfway through and sneezes. Anyway, when he died, that being my side of the family, guess what she showed up with? 11 deviled eggs. Now, who in the world makes an odd number of deviled eggs? We think she ate one on the way over here. But here's the way the Baptists do it. The moment we hear someone has been admitted into the hospital, we go grocery shopping. When we hear they have been moved into intensive care, we start cooking. And if they should get better, we'll just freeze it. So everybody's out on the front porch, and the phone would ring. And back in those days, the phone would have to ring 20 times before anybody ever bothered to pick it up. Things sure have changed in this country, haven't they? This whole country now has gone phone crazy. We're phone fanatics. We're afraid to get further than 2 feet from a phone. Got to have that damn phone. If it rings one time, the whole house goes into a panic. Get the phone. Get the damn phone. And we got all this newfangled BS. Call forwarding so the caller can just chase us all over town. Got call waiting, got caller ID. Got to know who's on the line before we pick it up. Hell, we can't take no chances. It might be the CIA. We got speed dial, read dial, got memory dial. Got everybody programmed in there just so we can hit one button. We ain't got time no more to hit 7 buttons. Now we're in a hurry. We might miss Wheel of Fortune. Everybody got a portable phone with an antenna, so everybody can talk on the deck. Got to talk on the deck. We got cellular phones, car phones, voicemail, Skypage. The whole world's got a beeper. You'll see them every night up in the lobby going, where's your payphone? Where's your payphone? I got beeped. I'm going, damn. Take a night off. They'll call back. But here's the way it once was. Remember back, think back now. Everybody's on the front porch and your mother goes, shh, shh, shh. Is that the phone? And Daddy would go, well, hell, something's ringing. Mom would go, I bet you it's that phone. And Daddy would say, it probably is. And your mother would say, if I knew it was going to be ringing like that, I'd never had it put in. And Daddy would say, I told you, honey, once we had it put in, it'd be ringing. And then she'd say, don't you start telling me what you told me. He said, well, I'll get it. He said, no, honey, you worked all day. Sit right there, I'll get the phone. He said, well, I don't mind getting it. She said, did I say you minded getting it? He said, well, I don't guess it matters which one of us answers the phone. And she'd say, well, do you want to get it? And finally one of them would say, wonder who it could be. So eventually, your mother answers the phone. And when she hung up, she would go, Lord, have mercy. And anytime your mama said, Lord, have mercy, only one of two things could have happened. Somebody died, or the neighbor's dog pissed in her azaleas. Now, before we get into anything funny, I like coming here. This is where my favorite sign in the whole world is. It's over on Brainerd Road. There's a sign out in front of a business over there. The sign says, Lawnmower Repair and Income Tax Service. Lord knows we've been needing something like that. Oh, yeah. Just think how many times over the years you and I have carried our lawnmower in to get it fixed. And while we were there, we probably said to ourselves, well, I'd like to get my taxes done while I'm here. I guess they'll franchise that out now. See, you have to wonder where the guy got the idea for a business like that. Did somebody go in there one day to pick up their mower, and they said to him, you know, you did a job on this mower. I think I'll let you do my taxes.